he lived to see the day where people were talking about how Hitler hit and praising Nazi Germany, he'd be fucking furious right now. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's funny because that a lot of them papaws of that generation, the same is also probably true for just like anime and weeaboos and stuff. You know what I mean? Like Japan also hits for people now, and that's cool because Japan does hit, but
right.
Papaws would stand on business with both, I think.
They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
This spring, get out there, enjoy the weather, and recapture the magic of riding a bike with Lectric Bike. With an amazing variety of models built for riders of all abilities, it's never been easier to fall in love with riding again. Go full throttle into spring with Lectric Bikes, the #1 selling e-bikes in the nation. Get your adventure started at lectricebikes.com, and please mention that the WellRED podcast sent you in the post-checkout survey. That's LECTRIC ebikes.com, and tell them WellRED sent you. How's it going, boys?
You know, that sounds like a redneck bike company now that I think about it, which really hits for me. Because that's how my granny said
I paid my electric bill.
My electric blanket.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you're right. That is true. That is that is the redneck pronunciation of electric.
Yeah.
You just leave the E off.
Yeah, hits.
Put his ass in an electric chair. He's a Baptist. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. All that.
Yeah.
Were you doing, Drew? Foraging for berries?
What?
You were outside walking around. I just asked if you were foraging for berries.
It is Earth Day. Happy Earth Day, boys.
Oh yeah, happy Earth Day.
I'm on this beautiful farm, which is my in-laws' farms where I got married.
Speaking of it being Earth Day, Hillary Clinton fired a shot today. Did you see what she tweeted? Well, it was she tweeted
was it about emissions or something?
Yeah. She said, "This is what's at stake for our climate in November's elections. Absolutely everything." It's a chart here. Here's the chart, and it shows in red that is what the emissions will be under Trump, and then the blue is the emissions under Biden, which is barely better. Like if you look at the target here, it's like neither one of them hit, and she kind of just exposed that basically to where it's like, I don't know. It reads as like, hey, all you people who are huge Trump supporters, if you want things to barely be better in the thing you don't even believe in the first place, vote for Trump. You know what I mean? Or vote for Biden. It's just really funny to me.
I would imagine the goal would be to stoke up people who weren't going to vote.
That's true.
But your point, I think, stands maybe even more because that's literally, you're saying the chart was like, we couldn't see it, by the way. But
my bad.
You're saying the chart was like, this is what we need to do. Trump's going to be way above that. He's not hitting the target to save the planet. Right. And then also, for the record, Biden's way above it, too. He's just below that. It's literally, in chart form, the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, right. Here it is right here. And, I tweeted that I was voting for Target.
Yeah, Katie would if she could. She might write in Target. I don't know. I was reading about Earth Day earlier for my Patreon because I realized I didn't know shit about Earth Day. And it's got a kind of an interesting backstory, I thought, more than I expected it to have. Like, they got it. This senator, first of all, the guy who's credited with founding Earth Day, he won the Presidential Medal of Freedom for it later, was a senator from Wisconsin named Gaylord Nelson, right? Which I thought was pretty, it's so on the nose because it's like, you know what any, right-wing climate change deniers' response to that would be. Like, of course, his name was Gaylord. But anyway, seemed like a pretty cool guy, this Gaylord. He was flying over Santa Barbara.
They took the Lord out of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a big oil spill in Santa Barbara in 1969, and he was in a plane flying over it and saw this gigantic oil slick and all these dying seals and shit. And that inspired him to try to do some environmental shit. And then he started trying to put it all together, but he wanted to do it on colleges because it was 1970, coming out of the 60s. Everything was happening on colleges. But they couldn't get college kids to give a fuck about the earth, at all. because they're like, no, two things matter: this goddamn war and civil rights. Right?
Yeah.
That was like that's what college kids were caring about in 1970 still, which is fair, I guess. It's
of course.
all this Earth talk. I mean, it's sort of the point of the whole story. It hadn't even really started yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like they tried to tell college kids, like, instead of putting your time and effort towards ending the war in Vietnam or getting black people treated like humans, let's do some earth, let's plant some trees, you know? And they were like, no, that's stupid. That don't hit. So they switched it instead to, they shifted instead to like moms and school teachers, community organizing. And it took off like wildfire. It wasn't just that they shifted it. They also, this is funny to me too. It's like things just seemed so much simpler back then in terms of making something hit. The turning point in their whole campaign was they took out a full page ad in the Sunday edition of the New York Times for the very first Earth Day. And that like changed everything. They started getting all these donations from people who put their organization over the top and all this, and it made it a success. It was the largest mass peaceful protest in human history, all this shit. And it was because of one full page ad in the New York Times, which they spent almost their entire budget on, by the way. But it's like, that was the type of thing. Like if you had the money to like do something like that, it would work. Like it would work as long as it was something that was able to, if it was just some made up horse shit that wouldn't hit for nobody, then it wouldn't matter. But as long as you had something like worth doing, that's just what you did. Whereas now today, it's like you got to figure out a viral marketing campaign and trick people into thinking
just like
it's just like and whatever else. It's like
just like back then, like all you have to do is go on Johnny Carson once, you know, like when there was no like the New York Times was it. That's where you're getting all your goddamn news. And Johnny Carson's one of 3 channels. So like, it is like you really. I mean, granted, you know, they still had to have the money to get the fucking ad, but it's like, you know, you're going, if you've got something to sell, if you can just get that money, you getting it back. If you put out an ad in the Times.
And they did, they got it back and then some, you know. And, 3 other quick things I thought were cool about it real quick. And then because I know it's like, I don't think Earth Day hits super hard for anybody to talk about.
Fine.
But 3 other things I thought were cool. They, it never would have happened without the support of another very important organization that basically bootstrapped the whole thing from the very beginning and gave them the funding to get started and the infrastructure to get off the ground. The United Auto Workers, the labor union, the Auto Workers Labor Union, which was led by this dude who was a big time fucking like FDR progressive guy. And what? I'm
just so used to our language. When you said FDR, I went to FDDH. Like I can't even hear FDR anymore without thinking fat, dumb, and then
So the United Auto Workers kind of got the modern environmental movement off the ground, which I thought was cool. Another thing I thought was cool, Standard Oil, now ExxonMobil, at the time still called Standard Oil, still run by Rockefeller. Check this out.
Really?
The Rockefeller who ran it in 1970 ran Standard Oil. His name was Larry Rockefeller. Is that not funny? That's funny, right? It sounds like the 30 Rock version of the Rockefeller brother. You know what I mean?
Because they were all like Nelson and John D. and Rutherford and stuff like
that.
And
then Larry.
They did not believe in him when he was born.
Of course not. No.
Hey, little buddy.
There's Rosie.
I assume his name was Lawrence.
Probably. But he's on.
And at about 12, they were like, this dude's fucking Larry. We can't have.
Larry Rockefeller, Standard Oil, tried to do that thing that corporations do where he tried to write them a check for Earth Day. Like the biggest check anybody had ever written them, right? And he's like, no, we care. I know it looks like we killed all these animals in the ocean and stuff, but big oil cares, right? But they wouldn't take it. They never took any corporate money. They refused to because they said it would have compromised their integrity. And then the third thing was that they launched this campaign called the Dirty Dozen, where they tried to get 12 of the worst 12 of the politicians with the worst environmental record who were currently in office at the time. They picked 12 politicians who super didn't hit the environment, and they tried to get them beat out of office. Like
was Strom Thurmond one of them?
I don't know. I didn't see the whole list of them, but they called them the Dirty Dozen. It was this big campaign, and 7 of the 12 lost. And because 7 of the 12 lost as a result of that, the rest of Congress like, oh shit, these hippies are this is a real thing. And it led to this string of environmental legislation in the 70s, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act, all them shits, which you still hear about today, were a direct result of all this Earth Day stuff. So I'm saying, like, Earth Day early on and the people behind Earth Day, it like amounted to shit, to like real shit. It was they they really did it. And then now can't get nobody give a fuck about nothing, but
can't nobody give a fuck.
I mean, the thing is, it's like a dedicated group of people who are super passionate and doing something for the right reason, can often get shit done. I just feel like now with all social media and stuff, they get shut down pretty easy, like, getting made fun of and stuff. Whereas back then, like, maybe they were able to operate relatively in the shadows. I don't know. But like, I want to believe in shit like that again,
Yeah.
It'd be tough though, because of like that game is up. It's like once a play is played and the companies with a lot of money who don't want the new Clean Air Act, whatever it may be, to happen, they know how to beat that play. You got to come up with a new play, and it just it all feels so fractured. I mean, even going back to, you were talking about Johnny Carson, even if you want to take it out of politics, like, there used to be a way to make it as a comic. There used to be a way to make it as a musician. Everyone copied that way. Too many people doing it that way. You got to do it a new way. And then the internet kind of fractured everything, in good ways and bad. It like got rid of gatekeepers, but it also made it to where you couldn't be famous overnight, Well, although I'm going to be honest, now we're getting off topic maybe a little bit. I think going back to your thing about, used to you could just take an ad out in the New York Times. It is way more complicated than that, but I think people are figuring out the algorithm. You'll never convince me that they didn't make Matt Rife happen overnight. You'll never convince me that girl who interviewed Drake, whose name I cannot remember, who's now on every podcast and will, I assume, soon be in movies, she just popped up overnight. She interviewed Drake. No one knew who she was. And then that like little clip she had with him went viral.
Right.
Anyway, didn't she have a ton of followers first? No, she have like a bunch of followers first.
I don't think
you can buy those too, though.
I think that I saw her pop up on a few other big podcasts. Like, who the fuck is this? Especially because her whole thing is like
rage bait,
being an aloof bitch, right? Isn't that her whole thing? Yeah. So like, I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I looked it up and.
Which, man, if you knew, if girls I went to high school with named Ashley knew you could make money.
No shit.
My college girlfriend too, son, she would have excelled. But anyway, yeah, I remember reading it. So yeah, like she got Drake on a podcast, and then that led to her podcast exploding, and now it's huge, whatever. And I don't understand it either. But about Matt Rife though, like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but
he has been putting into work.
To what end? Like with him specifically, or hell, even her. But like,
because he didn't blow up overnight.
Well, he did and he didn't, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him in terms of the work he put in, but it did go from like he was a guy who could sell 60 tickets in New York to he's selling out giant theaters on a world tour because he blew up on TikTok. I guess what I'm, theorizing here is like there's ways to game the algorithm and you can buy it. But you got to have it. You got to have, like, once you get that ball rolling, you got to have more content to provide.
This is one of those things that's like, do you think you have to seek this out? Because tell you what this kind of reminds me of.
No.
Okay, see, hang on. This is what it kind of reminds me of. Is it's like, you know how they think that everybody who's even remotely on the left or whatever is like getting checks in the mail from George Soros to be queer and stuff. It's like, I've been this whole time being like, where the fuck is my George Soros money at? Like, why am I not getting my cousin Steven Crowder gets $50 million from the Koch brothers every year to be the right wing version of my stupid ass. And it's like, I thought that's what George Soros is supposed to be for. I'm doing this propaganda shit for free. Right. I'll take the fucking money. But this, what you're talking about here feels like a similar thing to me. It's like, I'll do that. How do you can just do that? That's what you're saying is like, you can do that. It's like, I'll do that.
I would do that.
How much money does it take to do that? Because I'll do that. Right.
I'll liquidate everything I have now.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money it takes, but here's my theory on it. First of all, I don't think it's a button you push and it's automatic. I think that, I think both those people we just talked about were rep by William Morris. I could be wrong, but that's one of the biggest agencies in the world. What I believe and know to be at least somewhat true is that, of course, though that side of our industry and the music industry is constantly trying to figure out how to make money and control how things they're trying to gatekeep, right? Well, the algorithm and the internet and TikTok and Reels and YouTube has been around long enough. There is some, I don't want to say science, but like structure to how you're quote unquote supposed to do it. We even talk about it. We've talked about it before. Like, okay, post in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you and I know that, if Trae, you don't even pay attention to that shit at all. If you know that you're supposed to post at certain times a day, imagine what,
consultants.
a dedicated group of like think tank type money has discovered, and imagine who they can speak to and pay to speak to at TikTok, at Facebook, because there's no way. Think about how valuable it is for you to get on the front page of many people's For You page. For You page is where you go to that part of like Instagram and it just shows you stuff based on what you've liked in the past. Think about how valuable it would be for you to just be on that for 1% of users, 3% of users. Now think about who could pay for that. You and I wouldn't even know who to call. And it's not valuable to Facebook or Meta or whoever if they sell it to everybody. It's only valuable by it being a limited time, or exclusive situation. In other words, we can't push everybody to the front of the For You page. That would defeat the purpose of pushing any single person. So we can only do it with a few people. Well, if you work at Meta, you know that you can get the money for it. What else will you want? Well, fame, being cool. Everyone wants to be Hollywood. Everyone wants to be hot and they want to be Hollywood. Elon Musk, one of the richest motherfuckers alive, he's trying to like be on reality television fighting Mark Zuckerberg and go on Joe Rogan. Everybody wants to be famous. So you dabble in this. Look, this is my little conspiracy theory, but you talk to the people in Hollywood who can make that happen. You like feeling connected. I just believe that for certain people at William Morris and some other big agencies, they can put certain clients on the front of the For You page. It is expensive. They can probably only choose 1 or 2 or 3 to do it with at a time because, again, if they do it to more than that, it'll be pointless. And it still doesn't always work, is my belief.
Counterpoint. Silly little bitches really love Matt Rife, and that's who's on TikTok.
And it worked. But Rife's is interesting, too, because in some ways what I'm about to describe, he should get credit for if it's true. I also believe a lot of the crowd work stuff was pre-planned. Like, I think there were people planted. Some of them jokes, because I've heard the guy be way less funny than that. Not that he wasn't funny. He was fine. But it's like, damn, that's a fully formed joke. And it just so happened that there were 2 people in wheelchairs at your show. Like, this feels like you planned it.
I'm definitely not going to disagree that could have happened because, and I'm not going to say their name because I ain't trying to sling mud at nobody or whatever, but like there is comedians that we know of who like have put up heckler videos and it's been outed that they are 100% putting motherfuckers.
I'll say it. It's fucking
yes,
awesome.
it is.
Everybody knows you did.
Yeah, well, I guess we were all thinking it because I also was going to bring that up because, yeah, it's.
But the other thing you need to remember about Rife dated, not Kate Bosworth.
Shit. He dated
a supermodel.
Well, yeah,
when he was on MTV.
I believe it. I mean, Bosworth threw me a little bit.
For like 3 months, it was like very publicized. I'm not saying they weren't fucking, they probably were, but like it was obviously they turned it into a PR thing for both of them. Like, oh, old supermodel, you can be relevant by fucking a young guy, new and upcoming comedian. My point is, his people have been putting him in a position to succeed. I am not in any way trying to say that there's a button to push. I am saying that they have access to things that you and I don't have
certain
access,
about that.
and they gave him those resources. And I believe it's like back channel shit at Facebook, at Instagram. I do think it's expensive. I believe in my heart that you can pay to be pushed by the algorithm. It isn't automatic. You still have to like impress people. And Matt Rife did. So I'm not trying to take it away from him in that.
Well, and the only reason I was saying anything against you saying he blew up overnight was just because, like, I remember 10 years ago when I was a lot younger, that like when Matt Rife was super fucking young, and I would hear back then like, oh, Matt Rife, he's going to be the next guy. And then he just kind of wasn't. Like DJ met him out there, and all I heard was Matt Rife this, Matt Rife this. And then he just kind of wasn't. And then that's when he popped up again. I was like, oh shit, I guess it's been a long time coming for this guy. Cause all I knew about him was like, he was a hot new little thing in LA and he was super fucking young. Which obviously I was jealous about because I was like, I thought I was going to be the kid that started at 16 and fucking made it in Chattanooga for some reason.
Yeah, but I guess when I said overnight, I meant the world tour thing. And that is wild. And it shows the power of social media. But again, I feel like I've gotten this like sort of down the rabbit hole of entertainment. And I'm not sure people want to hear about that. But all I was trying to express is I'm not trying to say Matt Rife didn't have content that people wanted to see. I'm saying that I believe in my heart that there are ways to get put in the front of the algorithm via back channels. It's too valuable for them not to sell it. Like it's too valuable for Facebook, Meta, whatever, TikTok not to sell, but it has to be exclusive, and that's why.
Which means expensive as fuck.
Expensive as fuck, but also like who can get it. I don't know if they would do it to like just some rich guy, because then that could ruin it. Like it has to be, they have to give the opportunity to like 5 talented people.
Let me ask you this though. This isn't just about entertainment, but it is about social media and stuff. I mean, it's a proven fact, like a known thing, that you can buy engagement, followers, likes, shares. You can buy all that stuff. I've seen clips on Reddit, like video of the operations at a Thailand click farm.
Yeah.
Where it's like a whole wall of tablets and phones set up, and one little Thai dude just like walking through and literally just like hitting them all and doing all this shit or whatever. And it's like, and that's how it works. And it's like
Spotify streams.
That shit still like that drives engagement, right? So you can pay these, like, there's just companies who just do that, and you can pay them for X number of likes or shares or whatever the thing is. And then the idea is that drives engagement, which forces you into the algorithm, right? So like you can definitely buy it, but from a third party thing, like for sure. And that's the way to do it.
Right.
Like, and that's a known thing, right?
100%. And to make sure people understand, I'm not trying to insult Matt Rife. If you do something like that, it won't last
because you don't
unless you hit.
If you're not hitting. There was a guy who was on Flagrant 2 recently. I don't listen to that podcast hardly ever, but I saw a clip and it was very interesting. He was a musician. I swear I think it was Miguel, but don't quote me on that. It's a dude I don't know and I don't follow, but he was talking about this sort of thing and what Corey just said about paying for Spotify streams. I'll find the episode and send it to you guys. It was wildly interesting. This dude's very independent. It's sort of been his whole thing. And he's like, so I can say this because they can't really come for me because of the way I set my career up. And he's like, and I'm not going to name names and I'm not trying to like shit talk. Some of these people are my friends and they're very talented, but like the record companies are absolutely getting this system. Well, that I'm just arguing that that's happening with our little clippies too. Now, to try and circle back to what we were talking about, and this is true of politics, it's true of entertainment. I would argue that in 40 years, it may look as obvious in history to see how to make it. Like there might be somebody sitting around on whatever the equivalent of a podcast is in 40 years and being like, all you had to do back then was go on Rogan, as if that were
but that's what I was about to say. But
easy to do.
As long as you had the, and I know it's like as long as you had the money, but still, anyone who had the money to purchase the ad space in the New York Times Sunday edition could do it. Like that's not true for Rogan. So it is like
but it was risky. Like surely they didn't know, it wasn't obvious then, or everybody would have done it.
Yeah.
It is harder now, but I do think that there's
I mean, but the Rogan thing, I mean, you're right. It is like, I mean, that is kind of the new version of the Johnny Carson thing. Like, I mean, he does do that same exact thing that Johnny Carson used to do. Like, he's a fucking kingmaker, but it's only in a. I feel like it's only in a certain. You have to fit within the Rogan verse, like the Roganites, the thing you do,
right?
Like you got to be a jacked neuroscientist, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then if you go on Rogan for the first time, then you're huge after that because they're like, oh, I love this guy. Like Adam Conover went on there during the writer's strike, and they ate his ass alive,
right?
You know, because they were like, this fucking dude don't hit, and like he hits for me. I'm just saying. He was on there being super Libby and stuff.
Right.
And the Roganites, they didn't, you know, they're like, fuck this guy. So it's not like everybody, but if you fit within that universe and you go on there, you're a made man. It's just like Oprah used to do the same thing with like mom author type people. She was a queen and kingmaker too. It's like if you hit for moms, and see, like, if we'd gone on Oprah, if Oprah been doing that when we first got there, we'd gone on Oprah. Then we, you know,
ain't no doubt, bro,
to the moon. But yeah. So I don't even know like what I'm trying to say with any of that. It's just wild. It's like comedians particularly lament often the whole like used to you go on Carson, you get called over, and that was it. And it's like that does still kind of exist. It's just, and it's like, it's just as, you know, I guess it's just as hard to get on Joe Rogan as it was to get on Johnny Carson or whatever. But it's like, I mean, Rogan is the current version of that. It absolutely works the same way. So, I mean.
Well, and then also you get to go on all the ancillary podcasts.
Yes, you go on the little podcast run of that like Rogan verse, the extended Rogan universe of podcasts that all the same people watch. Yeah, all that shit.
And there's adjacent ones like, one example is Legion of Skanks, and then their whole like adjacent universe. That's like niche, but those people love it. Like they'll come out, they'll buy your T-shirt, they'll call everybody who disagrees with you a huge piece of shit or worse. But anyway, I guess to trying to get back into politics a little bit, like I go back and forth on it because like a part of me is like, nah, there's no way that thing you said, Corey, there's no way like a small group of dedicated people can change the world anymore. And then on the other hand, I'm like, or maybe it's just hard to figure out how. But I do feel like the money in politics is more than back then. And like Citizens United changing everything and just corruption with the way you can just kind of buy it now. I don't mean to be so cynical, but I really don't think a small group of dedicated, righteous people can make big changes. I don't think they could scare senators into passing the Clean Air Act. Maybe.
No, I think you're probably right. But you know what you can do? You can make big changes in your personal life. You can make your own life hit harder, guys. Think about when you were a kid riding bikes, right? We all rode bikes as kids. Remember the sense of freedom and adventure you got on a bike? It was like the wind in your hair, living life. We all remember that, right? Well, I know about this personally because, like, my sons, when they got to be biking age about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago or something like that, I was like, maybe I should get a bike. And I was like, no, I'm a grown man. Why would I get a bike? You know what I mean? But then I did. I got a bike, and, like, it's awesome. Riding a bike is awesome. It, like, if you haven't done it in 20 years, try it again, and it will hit. And not just any bike. All right, this spring, get out there, enjoy the weather, recapture the magic of riding a bike with a Lectric Bike with an amazing variety of models built for riders of all abilities. It's never been easier to fall in love with riding again. Plus, every Lectric Bike ships free and only requires quick, toolless assembly. Go to lectricebikes.com to discover e-bikes that start at just $7.99 with their XP Lite model. When you go over there, tell them the WellRED boys sent you. Drew, they sent you one of these. Tell us about it.
They did, and I moved it across country with me, and as much as I enjoyed it in Los Angeles, I think I'm enjoying it even more out here in the country, out here in Scott County. I was riding it just yesterday, and I saw someone coming up on my 6 on an e-bike, and it was Spike, the town janitor, and I thought we had the same helmet on because Andy made me get a full one. And I thought we might have a race, but I decided not to race. We just kind of waved at each other. But I've been cruising through the country with him. I got to say, great for cities, great for the country. I am the biggest Lectric Bike fan you'll
That
ever
hits.
meet.
Well, listen, y'all, you can get up to 150 miles on one charge with Lectric's unbeatable long-range options. They also offer financing as low as $49 a month, and you get savings on gas, parking, and maintenance. They got the same safety regulations and road access as regular bikes in most states, like a special license, registration, inspection. None of that's required, but you should always check the laws in your area. But check out Lectric e-bikes today. Go full throttle into spring with Lectric e-bikes, the #1 selling e-bikes in the nation. Get your adventure started at lectricebikes.com, and please mention that the WellRED podcast sent you in the post-checkout survey. That's LECTRIC ebikes.com, and tell them WellRED sent you. Get you a bike.
Get you one.
All right, Joe. I don't know how Lectric's going to feel about this, but you wanted to talk about Hitler, right?
Yeah. Well, more so, it's Hitler adjacent. Alex Jones apparently a couple days tweeted something very heroic that was like Hitler don't hit, or something like that.
Yeah.
You would think
he's going out on that.
Well, you would think it's like Alex Jones is usually on one side, but finally he has posted something that we can all agree on. It's like immediately when I saw it, it was that Onion article, dumbest or worstest person you've ever met says the right thing. Well, it did not go how Alex Jones wanted, or maybe it did. I don't know, because, Alex Jones also is the king of getting in the algorithm, but that's just because he's a goddamn lunatic who says wild shit and we eat that up. Anyways, there were, let me share my screen here. People have absolutely been going in on Alex Jones for saying that Hitler don't hit, to the point of like they feel betrayed by him, which made somebody post this picture where I think they're trying to make Hitler and Alex Jones look similar or something.
Yeah,
Alex,
that's wild.
It is wild. And then so Alex Jones retweets it and says, "For all the Hitler lovers, this post should make it all better. But I will say it again." He's standing on business. I will say it again. Fuck Adolf Hitler and every other totalitarian oppressor of the people. Right? So that's wild enough. But here's what really got me is the amount of people who are just like, apparently, I know that people, listen, I'm very aware that there's a group of people who are cool with Nazism, but I always thought that when they were asked if Hitler hit, they would be like, no. What, you know what I mean? But these are the replies. Who called you this time, Jones? Implying that, like, all right.
His puppet masters called him and was like, "Hey, we need you to say that Hitler don't hit today."
Right. Yeah. You're asking to get ratioed again. I love this one. Stunning and brave comment and fully in line with all politicians and media narratives. The German people adored him, to which Alex Jones said, and 24 million died. Then it gets worse. What people did he oppress exactly? Oh, yeah. These poor oppressed people, and just shows a bunch of white Germans. How much was the check for, Alex? Right? Bro. And then, and I'm going to quit sharing this, but again, it's just a lot of people who are basically being like, if you say that Hitler don't hit, it means that you are clearly being paid by the mainstream media. And someone even went as far as to post this full length, like 2-hour documentary that is like trying to prove that there's been an unfair media bias against Hitler and that he didn't do any of that bad shit. And that by Alex Jones saying that Hitler don't hit, which, by the way, I should point out, long-standing thing we've had on this show. We too don't think Hitler hits. But people were basically trying to be like, oh, so you think Hitler don't hit? Is that because you read it in the news? You know? And this just goes back to this thing that I did a fucking park rant on my bonuscorey.com if y'all want to sign up. But I was basically talking about how, like, because there's certain people who, I'm all about questioning shit, but there's certain people now, and there's a lot of them, who literally just believe that nothing has ever happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Holocaust, that didn't have anything bad. They're like, no, it didn't happen. The media just told you it happened. And it's not even that they're questioning everything. It's that they straight up don't believe a fucking word that comes out of anyone's goddamn mouth.
Well, yeah, but I think for most of these people in particular, it's that Jews are saying a thing happened
right
to them that was bad to them, and they're like the Jews globalists that run everything. They lie about everything, and they made all that up to discredit fucking whatever. And so that's why, and it's like classic Holocaust denial. I mean, it's not surprising really that Holocaust deniers and Alex Jones stands, that there's a lot of overlap. But I'm with you. It is wild that, like, I mean, this isn't news either, especially post-Trump. Like, they're a lot more emboldened. They'll just say shit now. But used to, like you said, a person was racist and didn't like Jews and all this stuff, but they would be like, but no, Hitler didn't hit. Of course, Hitler didn't hit for me. And then you feel like he gets behind locked doors with his buddy who thinks the same shit as him, and they're both just like, Hitler totally hit, right? Like, yeah, they don't say it in public. But now they do say it in public, and that is wild. And then you still got some of these common, like Alex Jones here, sort of, who try to play the game of, we're not actually racist. They still try to do that sort of shit. Right. And when it bites them in the ass like this, it's funny to me. Like, there was that, I think it was that Tim Pool guy who's a conservative commentator. Yeah. He tweeted something like, Joe Biden is a fascist. And then, like, his followers were like, no, he isn't. If he was, he would hit for us. Yeah, right. If Joe Biden was a fascist, he'd fucking rock. What are you talking about? We love it. And he's just got to, I think there's another F word you're thinking about. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's funny, but it's also alarming. But it's the fucking internet, I don't know. It's more, that type of thing is way more mainstream than it used to be, for sure. But there's always been a contingent of those people on the internet, without a doubt, who are just like gnarly as hell with that type of thing. And there was also a poll. There was also a poll in that thread that had, like, I don't know, 500,000 people vote in it. And it was Hitler a bad person? And 70% said, nah. Yeah. Nah. And that's probably a lot of people just being like, I'm just going to put this, for whatever. But, like, dude, I know we talk about this all the time, but, like, I almost wish sometimes I go, God damn, I'm glad my papaw died young, because who knows? Now, he was like a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat motherfucker, but I was like, who knows what conversations we'd be having now? But I can safely say, I know my papaw enough to know that if he lived to see the day where people were talking about how Hitler hit and praising Nazi Germany, he'd be fucking furious right now. You know what I mean? I mean, it's funny because that a lot of them papaws of that generation, the same as also probably too for just like anime and weeaboos and stuff. You know what I mean? Like Japan also hits for people now, and that's cool because Japan does hit. But papaws would stand on business with both, I think. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, dude, present day Germany hits too. Right? You know what I mean? Right. We're talking about the Nazi regime. The fucking Third Reich is what these people are into. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But I mean, dude, Germany, like their PR campaign since all that, they've done good, man. It's because they accepted it. Yeah, exactly. They were like, y'all are right. That was fucked up. We ought not done that. And Japan took the L. Japan, that's what the South and Japan both took the same approach to the whole thing. Right. Like meaning like they try, like never really acknowledge, like, you're right, we didn't hit. Right. Japan managed to, through business and Nintendo and anime and shit, they achieved like a cultural victory. That's true. Whatever. They did. But like, we got college football. I was about to say the South kind of has done that too, though, with at least half of this country. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Nobody bombed us, though. Right. True. Anyway, I don't know. This big, we're even with Japan. I feel like. Yeah. Kind of like we just won't even talk about it. Like when you and your buddy get in a fight afterwards. We put them in camps. Yeah. Yeah, we were rude. It wasn't good. Okay, I know, but dude. Yeah, I think people like I get down. Shouldn't been talking shit. It's a weird thing about Japan. It's like, well, I guess it's not that weird. Everybody's focuses so hard on the Holocaust in Europe and the Jewish part and the Nazi part and all that like sometimes I feel like the Japanese sort of skate and they ought not, because they were doing some wildly fucked up shit in World War. They were like they were really, really going in hard. Like, ask the Chinese, what Japan was up to. And there's a thing called Unit 731 or 719 or something like that. That'll curdle your fucking blood if you read about like human experimentation and sewing babies together and fucking all kinds of wild shit, like mad scientist shit they was doing, and the rape of Nanking, like, and kamikazes and all. I mean, they were wilding big time. So
you know why they were sewing babies together?
Just see what would happen.
They're trying to make anime come to life. You know what I just realized? That's what's going on with our current papaws and socialism and communism. It just occurred to me the way you were like, the old papaws would be like, we're down with Nazis.
Right.
You know what I had to go through to beat them?
Right.
That's a good point.
That's like what, like.
But Russia hits for them.
Bernie Sanders and AOC.
Ford's right about that, though.
Yeah, Russia hits for them.
Russia hits for them, man.
Who does Russia hit for?
It hits for them.
Carlson?
No,
Dude,
it hits for them.
I'm in the fucking thick of it, and it does not hit for them.
No, it hits for them.
Yeah, buddy.
I thought they had turned on Ukraine and everything, and Russia hit
you're talking about the Chads. You're talking about the fucking 30-year-old bros. Papaws fucking hate Russia.
Okay, well that's good.
You, dog.
Good,
but that's
Russia
why,
don't hit.
No,
that's why all Fox News has to say is communists or socialists.
Right.
And then these motherfuckers start having flashbacks to getting their asses handed to them at Ho Chi Minh. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like, you know, how, like, you know, Cubans be conservative in Florida. They're like a big conservative voting bloc in Florida. It's because the Cubans in Florida escaped from the communist regime of Fidel Castro or whatever. And they're like, fuck all that left-wing commie shit, you know, forever.
Yeah. Well, the ones that escaped were, you know, on his kill list because they had been doing fuck shit, but I won't get into that.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I just know
y'all trying to go to Cuba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see them cars.
I want to see them cars, too.
Me
too. Hemingway daiquiris and stuff.
Yes.
You know, eat me a Cubano sandwich.
Yeah, it's like, I know. I feel like Cuba be, just let me get there. Cuba be like Mexico in the sense that the places we would go is fine, right?
Which is just Havana, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think Cuba's like Mexico if you mean like the cartel type shit.
Okay. I'm speaking from ignorance.
I'm not saying you won't get robbed if you're there and you're being an ignorant American, but there's no like kidnap an American equivalent that I know of. Maybe
can you just go to Cuba now?
I think you have to get like special permission, but like
as long as you don't carry shit with you, right? Because
I think you have to get special permission from them. I think we're good with it now.
Okay. Because I knew for a long time you couldn't, obviously, and then there would I remember they were like gonna lift that, but I thought like with everything the government ever says they're gonna do, it got a little wishy-washy, and then
I think you got to go with a group. Like it's like, oh, you can go on missions there now, but then like a lot of these travel organizations are like, we're going on a mission to Cuba
to get cigars.
Yeah, it's like North Korea. They do that type of thing. They take groups of people over there, but then no, hell no.
My God, bro.
But in North Korea, they shepherd you. A group of Americans comes in to like see North Korea, and you're shepherded every minute of every day.
And you can't talk out of turn.
No, by like a guard, and they only let you see what they want you to see and all that type of shit.
That's another thing I thought I'd never see, and I've been seeing this on the left, and it's insane to me. They're starting.
You better say people are talking about how North Korea hits.
Yep, they're trying to
get
be like,
the fuck out of here.
They're trying to be like, this is what years of propaganda will make you think about the North Koreans or whatever. It's like they have no starving people, and I'm like, well, that's only one metric, first of all, to measure. You know what I mean? It's like there's no homeless in North Korea, and it's like, okay, well, that's cool.
They shoot you when you go outside.
Are there any children who laugh? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they shoot you when you go outside because I don't think a society could survive like that. So I guess I can understand like the acorn that plants the tree of like. My whole life, I've been told they shoot you if you go outside North Korea. There's no way that's true. No one could live like that. And then that somehow leads to like, what else have they lied to us about? You know what I mean? And it's like, no, I've seen the little fat guy get worshipped. It's a weird place. Fuck trying to like act like it ain't.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's been generally proven. I think that a lot of that stuff, like I said, you go over there as an American doing tourist shit, and you'll see a grocery store that looks like it hits, but it's like they fake and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Like a lot of that shit they show is not real. And I've always heard, not that they shoot you if you go outside, and I know you were just hitting.
I was, hyperbolic.
But that if you fuck around, they put you in like a work camp. But
You'll find out.
But then, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. They famously adhere to that doctrine, but not just you find out, your kids find out, that it's like generational levels of finding out that like
people
you could be born in a work camp because your grandpa pissed off Kim Il Sung or whatever, and now you are effectively a slave because they imprison generations of people and stuff like that. I've also seen videos of like defectors trying to make it to South Korea, and if you can make it to South Korea will be like, yeah, you can stay. But North Korea is just like fucking, you know, just a shooting range at them the whole. Like, you ever seen those? They're wild, dude. Like a clip of a North Korean,
no man's land,
like fucking like sprint, or like I've seen one of them make. I think he got shot a couple times while like make it through, but it's like something out of an action movie, dude. There's fucking like dirt flying up and shit all around him because North Korea is trying to shoot him dead. But you know, that's if you try to leave, and you know, just because they'll kill you if you try to leave, that don't mean they're so bad.
Yeah, it's like Scientology. I want to say two things. One, Professor Youngbae Kim at Maryville, one of my political science teachers, he's retired, probably dead by now because he was old as fuck. He had walked. I
thought you were about to shower this dude with bread.
I am.
Okay.
He had walked no man's land, I want to say 5 times, escaping and then going back for family. And it's like
that. You can get your own way, cuz.
And he wrote a book about it. It's like the hoops you
Professor Young Way, cuz. That's what we told him.
The hoops you'd have to jump through, though, like to believe that this professor at Maryville College made all that up and kept a lot. You know what I mean?
And still stayed at Maryville.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you already hit harder, dude. Should have been at Harvard.
Right.
Should have went 9 times, dude. They got one at Harvard, went 9 times. But even going back to the Cuba thing a little bit, I always think about this when I'm, you know, hanging out on the left on the internet or whatever. There always seems to be this like sense of places that are America's enemy that are like communist, like North Korea. They're like, well, yeah, there's prisoners, you know. And it's like they seem to think, or they act like in their mind, even with Cuba, I referenced it earlier kind of joking. It's always like, well, yeah, Castro took rich people's land and he gave it to poor people because those people have been exploiting the working class for years. And I'm like, bro, if the Cuban version of John Rockefeller got put in prison, that's rad. But if you believe in your heart, that's all that happened. Like, do you know what I mean? Like what you were just referencing. It's like there seems to be this idea of like,
that he's Robin Hood.
Yes, and that's what's going on with this North Korea stuff that I've noticed recently that's so shocking is they're like, when it comes to the prison part, it's like, yeah, enemies of the state will get put in prison. You know, these are blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. Or like he fucked his fat cousin girlfriend that he didn't want him to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
like not every prisoner was
if
a
there's
fucking
people on the left.
pig.
If there's people on the left, as you say, this is news to me, that for some reason all of a sudden now are like cool with North Korea or think it ain't all that bad.
We're talking about far left because they're
that's fine.
State.
And if you're listening, I have no problem with you hating me. North Korea don't hit.
So, okay, this, again, documented fact, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, Americans can go over there in these groups and stuff, and they're shepherded everywhere they go. There was a kid, an American, he was 23, a college student named Otto Warmbier. Don't hit, but, you know, that's German as fuck. I prefer Otto Cold Beer myself.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But anyway, I'm being insensitive because don't hit what happened to this kid. Anyway, he went over there as part of a guided tour group.
He was raped.
Yeah, right. Yeah. A couple more beers would have helped with that situation. But he was he was on a guided tour group over there, and he tried to steal a propaganda poster from his hotel because he just thought it was cool. And I bet it was cool. Probably
it was
cool. But that's all he tried to do was try to steal a propaganda poster. He got caught and sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. Yeah. And then the United States like bartered for his release, and they did release him. But when they released him, he was a vegetable and he later died. So it's like, well, this kind of don't count, But
right. That was a great bargaining chips they were using.
Yeah, like
that's sort of
give
what
us
I'm
Dennis
saying.
Rodman.
Yeah,
Right.
I wish he needed to eat some bargaining chips.
I'm saying they can't be too cool, dude.
Right?
They don't hit.
Right.
They
That's
don't
sort of what I'm
fucking
saying.
hit.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm saying. Is there seems to be inside this world of like we've been lied to about North Korea. First of all, I do think that the things we're told about North Korea seem far-fetched from time to time. It seems impossible to have a society continue on the way some of these things are presented to us. And I do believe in my heart that the anti-communist war during the Cold War led to our government making it seem worse than it was. I can buy that argument. But when they're just like turning college kids into vegetables, you can't be like, yeah, man, because that's how much they love their people. They'll protect their people against any foreign invaders stealing their posters. It's like, dude, no, that's evil.
Yeah.
Like, evil exists on every part of the political spectrum, clearly.
And I feel bad for that kid. I truly do. That being said, bro, do not go to fucking North Korea.
And if you
then commit
don't fuck around.
Shit, dog.
Yeah,
I know
I'm not justifying like them doing that for someone who steals a thing, but like shit, man, like don't do that shit. Like Brittney Griner, don't do that shit. I mean, she ought not have got in trouble for weed. I agree. That's what we think over here. That ain't what they think. You know what I mean?
Right. I think with her,
I don't. Different.
I think it's slightly different
sure,
because she was working over there. She like hid over there. She played professional basketball over there, and probably I think like a lot of athletes.
It was Russia, right?
Yeah,
I mean it is different.
She probably assumed that I'll
right.
Yeah, but you know how athletes be.
Yeah, for sure.
Buddy, they had all been smoking weed. I'm
for sure.
She was targeted. Russia found out that we don't care about women's basketball, but.
Well, that's changing. She should have got caught with weed in a post Caitlin Clark world.
That's right.
Yeah. She should have been white and shooting 3-pointers too.
Yeah,
that's true.
What are you gonna do? What is she, stupid? Yeah.
You did it.
Hey, I know Jokic and all them dudes are like from places near over there, like, but not there. But like, do Russians hit at basketball? Like, are there some Russians that you know about that I don't know about? Seem like they'd hit at it.
So, I mean, yes and no. I guess it depends on how you're going to define it. I mean, a lot of those places were in the USSR. So if we're talking about like from the Russia in the past that we went to war with, quote unquote, yes.
Yeah,
many of them. If you're talking about now and like the actual motherland, yeah, they're good. I can't think of any like great players. Wasn't Kirilenko Russian?
I was going to say Andrei Kirilenko, I'm pretty sure was actually Russian. I think. I could be wrong, but he was the first one that popped into my head too. But most of them, like Drew said, most of the ones that hit now are just Eastern European, so they used to be Soviet Union, but now like Russia don't hit for them. Like, they don't. They're glad to not be.
Yeah,
they never wanted to be in the Soviet Union, and I'm sure they all say fuck Russia generally. So
also one reason Russia stayed mad at us.
Hello.
One reason Russia stayed mad at us, and I have to assume this is still having an effect on theirs.
Because we hit and they don't hit.
So many men died trying to save the world from Hitler, from their country.
Yeah. Way more than anybody else.
And it's like some of the guys who might have ended up being professional athletes, I'm sure had to like go to work because they didn't have a dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of always been Russia's thing with war is like it's hard to fuck with them in war because of like the weather and the numbers, the meat grinder part. Like they'll just keep pouring Russians on you, like I mean, and that because I mean, in World War II they had like way more losses than anybody else on the Allied side for sure, and I think like period. And
I would say it takes 4 generations to even come close to normalizing after that.
Right.
Well, that's why women kept coming over here to marry.
Killing them all again in war, like which is what they currently doing. But I mean, it ain't on that level, obviously. Not, but
they can't get them to go because
war don't hit. No,
war don't hit. War don't.
No, aren't they mostly sending like I don't know the equivalent of slaves and migrants and shit like that, or people that basically like actual like Russian like strong young Russian men. They having trouble getting them over there, ain't they?
I know that people are just like being like, I'm not going to go. Who the fuck's going to make me? You're already admitting to me that you don't have the army to come and force, me not going. But I'm going to be honest, I have barely paid attention to that conflict essentially since the fucking,
it's taking a
Israel
back seat.
I saw a dude on
popped
Reddit
off.
who claimed to be from Russia. He could have been just making all this up. But he said something like, they came to his parents' house to serve him his papers, his like, you got to go to war now papers. But he wasn't home. And because he wasn't home, there just wasn't nothing they could do about that. And now he don't have to go to war. And I was like, well, if that's how their system works, they probably need to close some of them loops or something. That's like,
bit of a flaw, isn't it?
Yeah, no wonder they're having issues with it. Or maybe I'm just dumb and misunderstood him. But I don't know. I'm war dumb. What are you gonna do?
I too am war dumb.
My father-in-law's the war done.
Yeah.
And he's done war.
How was Canada?
All right, well, that was fun.
Hey, do you know anything about, real quick? I don't know anything about it. Oh, Canada, it hit. I was thinking that, just like we were talking when we went up there, even though I've been there before, I still got there, and in my head, I was looking over my act and shit, and I was like, this is all so American. Like, it's not even that, y'all know what my act's like. It's not even that it's like American politics.
Right.
It's just American.
So American,
it's just so, like, culturally American, I feel like. All of it, almost. But the guy, my opener, Abdul, shout out Abdul, he's a very funny guy. Abdul Aziz in Vancouver. He's a Canadian, obviously. And he was like, well, Vancouver's like the most American of all Canadian cities. And plus, he's like, we'd be paying attention to y'all and your bullshit or whatever. So, So, it went good. It hit. I mean, I was just in and out sort of thing. But I wanted, Drew, are you aware of that Netflix reality show where that prison warden tries to like make prison hit or something? Okay.
No, I ain't seen
me neither, really, but I thought you might be.
Oh, let's all watch it.
I feel like Drew would have strong opinions on it just solely based on the premise alone.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he's like a maverick prison warden who's trying to revolutionize the way his prison works or something, but he's also, in part of doing that, he's allowed Netflix to come and film it all. I don't know. I don't know anything else about it, really.
Sounds
I just
North Korea, honestly.
I just know that it's a thing.
You find out.
Yeah.
I think that part of it is like they just keep all the doors open and let them like just hang out, but
that's gonna be normal though. My brother's in a pod, I guess you could call it now. Where like,
a
there's
bunch of
no
them.
cells. They just like have little. There's like half walls, and your beds are up against the half wall.
Well, yeah, hell, that's how Orange is the New Black was too. Famous documentary about women's prison, but
filmed in an actual prison or jail. I don't remember which one. So like,
Yeah. So I don't know. I just saw it in passing on Netflix. It seemed like something that might interest you for hate purposes. But anyway.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, all right. Yeah. Check it out. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Listen, here's where I'll be coming up next. I don't remember. I think Buffalo and Pittsburgh. I think somewhere like that. Oklahoma City stuff. Places. I'll be places. Go TraeCrowder.com and check them out and come and see me.
Hell yeah. I know Trae's going to be in Virginia Beach and
Richmond,
because I'm going to be on those dates. That's June 4th and 5th, or
Something
5th
like
and
that.
6th.
I think
And
it
then-
might be 5th and 6th, but anyway.
And then 7th, 8th, and 9th, I'm in Atlanta. June 25th, I'm in Nashville. June 22nd and 23rd, or 21st, 22nd, I'm in Bristol, Tennessee. These dates are now all up on my website. The website is updated. Go to drewmorgancomedy.com. Nashville, you guys always show up for me. That's on a Wednesday. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous about it. I asked them to give me the lab, the small room for the weekend. They said, fuck that. You can do the big room on a Wednesday. I said, okay, I'll do whatever you guys want. I'm a sellout in my heart. Whatever you guys say, I'll do it. And I need people to show up. So Wednesday, June 25th, come see me, Nashville. Don't let me down.
Hey, on Mother's Day night, I'll be at JJ's Bohemia in Chattanooga, Tennessee, opening up for my good buddy John Michael Bond as he records his album. So that'll be fun. And other than that, go to bonuscorey.com. That is where all my extra stuff is. Podcast, videos, yada, yada, yada. And I appreciate all of you who upgraded your subscription from free to paid this week. Y'all are heroes. bonuscorey.com. And thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and Skews.